Welcome back, my fellow spooky lovers. I hope you are all having a fantastic week. This marks episode 4. Thank you for hitting that play button. It's very, very heartwarming that I have such a wonderful following. Before we get started, I wanted to take a second here to ask you all to breathe deep. Breathe loudly, get yourself some good headspace, try to relax. Inhale, count to 3. Exhale, count to 3. Unclench your jaw. Close your eyes and just center yourself for a little bit. Now, that being said and done, today I'm going to continue with our element of spooky folklore here. I'm going to be talking about the werewolf a little bit. Ooh, howling at the moon. So, let's see here. In folklore, a werewolf from Old English, or werewolf, man-wolf, or occasionally referred to as a lycanthrope from Ancient Greek, leucanthropos. I really hope I said that right. If I didn't, I apologize. Which means wolf human is an individual who can shapeshift into a wolf. What a lucky son of a bitch. I wish I could shapeshift into a wolf, or, like Dracula there. I realize he's not a werewolf, but like Dracula, I wish I could explode into a bunch of bats and run away from all my problems. That would be great. Anyways, I digress. Back to this. Shapeshift into a wolf, or especially in modern film, a theranthropic hybrid wolf-human-like creature. So, I don't know if any of y'all have seen the classic Wolfman. I feel like the remake as well gets a lot of unnecessary hate. I'll get into that later. So, let's see. A wolf-human-like creature, either purposefully or after being placed under a curse or affliction. Often a bite of the occasional scratch from another werewolf, with the transformations occurring on the night of a full moon. The werewolf is a widespread concept in European folklore, existing in many variants which are related by a common development of Christian interpretation of underlying European folklore developed during the Middle Ages. From the early modern period, werewolf belief spread to the New World with colonialism. Belief in werewolves developed in parallel to the belief in witches during the late Middle Ages and the early modern period. Like the witchcraft trials as a whole, the trial of supposed werewolves emerged in what is now Switzerland, especially the Wallis, or Valais, and Vaud, in the early 15th century, and spread throughout Europe in the 19th, peaking in the 17th, and subsiding by the 18th century. So to give a fair, quick, brief summary, it seems as though if you get bit by another werewolf, you turn into one under a full moon. I mean, that's most forms of various parts of modern media have shown different interpretations of this going around. I genuinely, as far as the aesthetic or the film-wise, the quality of the storytelling, I would generally recommend the original Universal Pictures, The Wolf Man, starring Lon Chaney Jr. Now, that right there is probably peak werewolf storytelling in my humble opinion. You're not going to get better visuals. You're not going to get just the amount of incredible work that went into transforming Lon Chaney Jr. into the iconic horror movie monster is simply breathtaking, especially for the time. You you're not gonna find better, in my humble opinion. I mean, you have the Werewolf in London of 1935. That one is also magnificent. If you haven't seen that, please give it a watch. You're gonna find going forward that I'm gonna be recommending a lot of Golden Age cinema, as far as like kind of explaining early lore, explaining early interpretations of these creatures and monsters, and that really is like the early turn of the century, like once movies, silent films, talkies, like once they all started coming together, that's really when what set up most of our modern day, I guess, folk interpretations of these creatures. And as far as werewolves go, and like modern, like further modern media, like we did have the Wolfman remake that I said I wanted to talk a little bit about. Obviously, I mean, not necessarily obviously, but like I really did appreciate that. I felt like it doesn't get enough love. Obviously, all my opinions. All my opinions. You don't have to take any of that to heart. I genuinely enjoyed Benicio del Toro's performance. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the visuals. Now, you wind the clocks a little further ahead, and look, I'm not knocking on you if you enjoyed the Twilight movies. You do you. More power to you. I just think that is probably the cringiest interpretation of any of the monsters, be it vampires, be it werewolves, be it like I don't know. Like, you do you. I know the books were meant for younger readers anyways, so good for you if you like the sparkling vampires, and if you like the werewolves that are literally just wolves. Like I feel like that's not really what the whole lycanthropy premise is. I feel like that's not, but you know what, I'm just gonna roll over this. So back to better better werewolf movies. An American Werewolf in London is one of the best horror comedies of all time. So the film came out in 1981, and in my humble opinion, up until the Wolfman remake, I feel like we didn't have a solid piece of werewolf media. I mean, there have been things, don't get me wrong. I'm not, like, for instance, I really love Van Helsing. Like, I absolutely adore that movie. But so, quick little plot synopsis here of the American Werewolf in London, right off of the IMDb page. First off, it has a solid 7.5, which is relatively high in the horror community for werewolf storytellings. So, an American college student, or American college students, David Kessler and Jack Goodman, on a walking tour of Britain, are attacked by a werewolf that none of the locals will admit exists. I'm not going to go too much farther into that, because it seems that the description that they have popped up here is a little spoilery, but the movie is so funny. It is absolutely hilarious. It is worth your time. Let's see here. So, another movie that features some pretty awesome werewolves and an incredible werewolf sequence that I think you'd really enjoy if you have not seen it. 2007's Trick or Treat. I know that is definitely a cult classic. It is one that I watch every Halloween season. Where to even begin about it? Like I'll do an episode that kind of gushes over it and breaks it down a little more, but it hits all the right notes. You get the incredible autumn atmosphere. You get the pumpkins. You get almost all the various different Halloween creatures, ghosts, ghouls, goblins. It is an incredible anthology movie, brutal as anything, silly as shit. I cannot, and I do mean I cannot recommend that one enough. If you're into the horror, the B horror aesthetic, do yourself a favor and check it out. And then I know most streaming services don't pop that stuff up until Halloween time, but if you want to go out and actually purchase some physical media, by all means. It is a story of five. It tells five different tales that kind of overlap each other, five different storylines. So it's a nice solid anthology, a lot of fun. Cannot recommend it enough. Realize I'm just kind of rambling about the Hollywood side of the tellings of werewolves, but that's kind of the point, because I'm like the modern interpretations. Halloween really started gaining traction here in the United States, like as far as like trick-or-treating and the more commercial aspects of it in the mid to late 20s into the 30s, and that's when a lot of these stories started seeing the light of day, started seeing like popular, or rather becoming huge in American pop culture. It really started captivating the imaginations of the time, really started captivating the imaginations of the viewers. And I mean, I know for a fact, growing up, watching all of the classic monster movies, like from the 30s into the 40s. I mean, there were even several incredible ones before that, but it really, like, I was heartbroken as a kid when, like, my dad would sit there and be like, remember, it's just a movie, it's just a movie, like, I didn't want it to be just a movie. I wanted all these creatures to be real. I wanted all of these things to exist in the world around us. I just feel like without these monster stories, like life would certainly have a duller edge to it. But I feel like these monster stories are almost, and like, don't laugh at me, or do. It doesn't really matter. Everything's subjective here. That the modern monster movies all tell kind of like Greek mythology, like a Greek mythological angle to them. So there's always some kind of a deep moral to the stories, something to abide by. Like example, like in Frankenstein, man, like God makes man, man makes man, or like man makes God, so to say. Like the modern Prometheus, like Dr. Frankenstein defeats the laws of nature and creates life. Like there's so many. I have another episode coming up that's going to be talking more about that. But there's just a whole lot to pay attention to in the morals of these stories. Like if you end up going back and you watch the 1940s Wolfman, like the tale of Talbot, and how he's just a very humble person, and he ends up getting put through the ringer, and just how the entirety of it plays out. Like he's a monster, but he's not a monster. Like I guess it's very similar to like a Jekyll and Hyde situation, but it's a little different. That being said, I want to really thank you all for joining me for my ramblings here. Next week, or next episode rather, going to be covering another surprise spooky creation from modern humanity. But for now, I'm going to say thank you humbly. I wish you all the best. Take care of yourselves, and I will talk to you next time on The Funhouse. Ooh.